Welcome. Today, we turn our attention to learning in organizational behavior, an area that explains how employees acquire knowledge, skills, attitudes, and behaviors in the workplace. Organizations do not grow only through machines or capital, they grow through learning people. Every time an employee improves performance, adopts a new method, or changes behavior in response to experience, learning is taking place. Understanding how learning happens helps managers train better, motivate wisely, and shape productive workplace behavior. In today's session, we will move through two broad areas: theoretical foundations. We will explore what learning means in OB, classical conditioning, operant conditioning, social learning theory, practical applications. We will then connect these theories to reinforcement strategies, schedules of reinforcement, behavior modification, and real workplace applications. By the end of the lecture, you should be able to explain how behavior is learned, strengthened, or changed at work. In organizational behavior, learning is defined as a relatively permanent change in behavior that occurs as a result of experience. Learning can be seen when an employee improves performance after training, a new worker adjusts to organizational culture, a team modifies behavior after feedback, bad habits are replaced with effective routines. For example, when a customer service officer learns how to handle complaints more calmly after repeated interactions and coaching, learning has taken place. Learning is not just about knowledge, it is about behavioral change. Classical conditioning explains how we learn through association. Ivan Pavlov discovered that dogs could be conditioned to salivate not only to food, but also to sounds associated with food. The same principle operates in organizations. For example, if a supervisor always praises employees during Monday meetings, employees may begin to associate Mondays with recognition and positive emotions. Conversely, if disciplinary actions always follow certain procedures, employees may associate those settings with anxiety. In short, workplace emotions and reactions can be conditioned through repeated associations. Operant conditioning focuses on learning through consequences. According to Skinner, behaviors followed by positive outcomes tend to be repeated. Behaviors followed by negative outcomes tend to weaken. For example, if punctual employees receive praise or rewards, punctuality increases. If careless errors lead to correction or penalties, errors decrease. Operant conditioning shows us that what gets rewarded gets repeated, and what gets ignored or punished usually disappears. Organizations use different reinforcement strategies to shape behavior. First, positive reinforcement, giving a reward to encourage behavior. For example, a bonus for meeting performance targets. Next, negative reinforcement, removing an unpleasant condition to encourage behavior. For example, ending close supervision after performance improves. Then, punishment, applying a negative consequence to reduce unwanted behavior. For instance, warning letters for repeated lateness. And finally, extinction, withholding rewards to eliminate behavior. For example, ignoring attention-seeking disruptions. Effective managers rely more on positive reinforcement than punishment because it builds motivation without fear. Reinforcement can be delivered using different schedules. Continuous reinforcement, behavior is rewarded every time. For example, a commission paid on every sale. Intermittent reinforcement, behavior is rewarded occasionally. For example, performance awards given quarterly. Intermittent reinforcement often produces stronger long-term behavior because people continue performing in anticipation of future rewards. Not all learning occurs through direct rewards or punishments. Much learning happens through observation. According to Bandura's social learning theory, people observe others, imitate behavior, learn from role models, and adjust behavior based on observed consequences. For example, a new employee watches a senior employee give a professional presentation, remembers the technique, practices it, and becomes motivated after seeing the recognition the presenter receives. This is learning by observing others. Social learning occurs through 4 main stages. Attention. The learner must focus on the model. Retention. The learner must remember the behavior. Reproduction. The learner must be able to perform the behavior. And motivation. The learner must want to perform the behavior. For example, a student watches a senior employee give a professional presentation, remembers the technique, practices it, and becomes motivated after seeing the recognition the presenter receives. Organizational Behavior Modification, or OB-MOD, applies learning theories to change workplace behavior using a systematic process. Identify critical behaviors, measure current performance, analyze causes and consequences, intervene with reinforcement strategies, and evaluate results. For instance, if absenteeism is high, managers can analyze causes, reinforce attendance, and track progress. OB-MOD provides a structured way to shape behavior objectively. Learning theories are actively applied in many workplace areas: training and development, performance management, safety programs, customer service, leadership development. Those organizations that apply learning principles well build adaptive, skilled, and high-performing employees. This brings us to the end of today's lecture on learning in organizational behavior. You should now be able to define learning in OB, differentiate classical and operant conditioning, explain reinforcement strategies and schedules, describe social learning and OB modification, and connect theory to real workplace behavior. Now I welcome your questions, experiences, or reflections on how learning happens in your academic, social, or workplace environments.